छोटा हो गया।
Everywhere you go.
Yeah, Dil Pakistan has been playing here at the Clontarf Cricket Club. And it does
Have you been talking to them, Faisal, the fans?
Yeah, I have actually, and they're very enthusiastic. When we get here, which is around 12:30, you could see them queuing up outside the main gate. They just want a glimpse of their superstars.
Craig Young is the bowler. Oh, Rizwan, I beg your pardon. Babar Azam didn't know much about that.
Seeing that ball, Ireland will be very, very disappointed that they haven't made good use of this new ball. Well, Adair did, but he didn't get no support from Hume. Still, quizzical look from Babar and Rizwan looking at the pitch. Ireland could have made them think a lot more. I can think of at least 4 boundary balls in this power play. Couple to Saim and couple to Rizwan in the previous over.
Rizwan throws those quick hands at the ball, and it's 6 from Rizwan.
Length delivery, Rizwan walked right across his stumps. This is his go-to shot, and now he's hit a few off the middle. He's really feeling confident. Got underneath it. Very, very strong bottom hand. And a solid blow. He means business. There's been a word around world cricket that if you want to tie Rizwan, probably pack the offside and try and hit him through the covers. Because he does change bowlers' lines and lengths the way he moves right across his stumps. So you've got to be always watching his feet running in as a bowler.
This has gone miles. Over deep backward square. 6 more for Rizwan.
Little Rizwan at his very best. Just toying with the bowling. And Young had no answers. Back-to-back 6s. This time was slightly fuller in length. But that movement across, Rizwan was really eyeing that boundary. And the execution has been top-notch.
He's very, very difficult to bowl at. And here we go again. It's the box of balls. Some lovely gardens around this cricket ground, the Castle Cricket Ground in Clontarf. I should imagine some of these balls going up so high have dented some of the lawns.
Yeah, lawns, none of the windows have been damaged just yet.
Look at those hands.
You did mention the other day about him being a hockey player.
What? Yeah?
Those hands with the flick, and
you know what he could do? He could take the sweets from in front of the shopkeeper, in front of him, and the shopkeeper wouldn't even see him.
Well,
and Rizwan would be walking out the shop, chewing those sweets.
If he runs, he'll be out of sight with no time. I mean, you can't catch him anyway.
It's great to watch. 46 for 1. Rizwan steaming ahead here. He's gone after everything. He's literally throwing those hands at everything that comes his way.
That was a slog, but he's seeing them so very well. This time was probably from way outside the off stump as well. He's got the measure of Young, there's no doubt about it. And Young will have to come back with something special. Rizwan has got him for 17 of the over in just 4 deliveries.
Yeah. It's difficult now. You've got to steel yourself up as the bowler here, Craig Young.
Bring out your left-arm quicks hat, and what lines, what would be you will be doing to Rizwan if he's in that kind of mood?
I would try and get it as full as I could into his toes to stop him using those hands. That's easier said than done, but you've got to back yourself. Got to look for the Yorker, got to look for something at his toes that he's not going to be able to put away. That's superb. Well done. That's a good follow-up. Good riposte from the bowler.
Yeah, every now and then we've seen this little something in the pitch for the bowlers. That's why I say when Ireland would be looking at the scorecard, they would be thinking that there was an opportunity and they've let it go. 50 inside 5 overs.
Come on, finish the over now, Craig Young. Do it for your country. Well bowled. I might look for a second. No, they won't. Guess what? Rizwan's got the strike. 50, 1 for 1, 5 gone.
क्लोज अप। अरे खत्म हो जाएगा। सबको मत दे यार, खत्म हो जाएगा जल्दी। दे रहा हूँ। हाँ? छोटा पैक फिर भी
20 रुपए वाला क्लोजअप है 25% ज्यादा किफायती। पाइए 18 घंटों तक ताजा सांसें। क्लोजअप, ताजगी जो चलती जाए।
Control of this series, Ireland have to keep fighting, have to find a way into Pakistan's middle order. To do that, they'll obviously need wickets, and Curtis Campher will be turned to as the 4th bowler to be used thus far today. Remember, no Gareth Delaney, no Barry McCarthy. So Ireland shy of a few bowling options as I wish a early good evening, a late good
Curtis Campher starts off with a full wide one and it goes through the gap in extra cover. Sprawling mid-off, can't cut that one off, and it's a boundary to start out his spell.
Yeah, you think of a total target in and around 180, 179 it is to win. You think you're always in the game having those runs on the board, but a combination of a very fine batting surface, maybe the best of the 3 pitches we've played on, and then the small boundaries in and around Clontarf, well, everything's pointing towards the visitors turning this series around and taking it 2-1. Something Ireland have shown, though, in recent times, the last probably 9 to 12 months, is a lot more character, a lot more fight. Can they pull this out of the fire somehow?
I think it's probably one of the more difficult ones to pull out of the fire, because even though if you look at the matchup from the first innings, Ireland 42 for 1 at the same point. So it's not that far away, but that's the value in batting second, because those final 7 overs, Ireland really didn't make Pakistan pay. They went from 129 for 2 in the 13th over and then just made it to 178. So the winning of the game, if Pakistan do get the win, will have been in those 7 overs where Ireland's middle to lower order just didn't fire. And that's not what we usually say. We're normally saying they've kind of saved Ireland, and today it didn't come off for the Ireland middle order.
Yeah, what a wonderful platform Ireland had at 129 for 2. I thought Tucker played as fluently as I've maybe ever seen in this format in particular, and then there was a nice
time he engineers runs, it doesn't look as fluent, but today he stood and hit the ball as well as I've seen him. Slower delivery from Campher, good thinking from him. The 2 fielders are out in the deep on the leg side. But yeah, Tucker just played regular cricket shots on regular occasions, and a lot of the time we see him engineering laps and sweeps and moving around in the crease, dancing down just based on a decision he's made before the ball. And he did that today, but not as much. So it just looked like a much more comfortable innings for him today.
And the big question with his captaincy hat on now is where is he going to turn? Ireland have to keep fighting, have to keep believing. We both feel quite strongly it's in Pakistan's hands for the moment. But T20 cricket is a funny beast. 2 or 3 good overs, you're right back into the game, into the contest, and they will get the ease now with the fielding restrictions going to 5 outside the circle after this final delivery of the power play. If you're Lorcan Tucker, what are you thinking about for those remaining 14 overs? Getting spinners involved?
Well, you've got Ben White, obviously. The problem is that he won't want to bowl to the short straight boundary, so he probably won't come on the next over. He does have 2 right-handers to bowl to, so he'll be happy with that. George Docker was bowling a lot. He always bowls a lot in the warm-up, so he's putting his name in the hat as well. And then you've got Harry Tector, who we haven't seen ball in hand. So a lot of spin options, so they're there for Tucker.
It's been a really good power play. That's been a point of some weakness for Pakistan in recent times, but they'll be delighted with that. End of the 6th, 60 for 1.
કેટલું પકડી પકડીને તેને ચાલવાનું શીખવ્યું. તેની સાથે ડેડની ઘરે આવવા માટે
But more comfortable with spin.
And interestingly, Young is going to continue. Aggression continues for Mohammad Rizwan. Look at those numbers, 40 off 18 before that delivery. I thought it was a fascinating post-match interview with him the other day. It went a bit viral around the world. What was the exact quote? If you look at average, you're going to be an average player.
It's one of my favourite quotes because I couldn't agree with him more. I'm someone who never looked at averages. It was how you felt after the game, how you felt you played. You know if you've played well or not, and it's all based on the situation that's out there. And 120 plays 121 sometimes can be the best games, better than 200 plays 201. It's all about the conditions, who's bowling, you know, the state of the game when you went out to bat. It could be 20 off 19 balls that wins the game. So, yeah, for me, he hit the nail on the head. And people get too hung up on, especially in T20 cricket, they get hung up on averages. And you could be a number 7 batter who should be averaging 10 or 15, but you've done it off 5 deliveries consistently.
And the great irony is, as he goes down the ground, oh dear, Neil Rock, who sometimes has the gloves, he will have wanted to do better there. Couldn't cut off the boundary. It's 4 more.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. It was played with power down the ground. It was always going away from Neil Rock's right hand, and it just bounced over his hand as he made the dive. He tried to stay on his feet as long as he could, but have a look here, it just bounces over. He got a little bit too close, truth be told. Could have maybe done an army roll instead of going the full dive and got himself in a little bit of trouble, but it's 4 nonetheless.
And this time, more conviction from Babar Azam. Bang, bang, back-to-back boundaries. 2 very elegant cricket strokes. The first time down the ground, this time square of the wicket. Craig Young, he's being taken apart.
Looks a little bit afraid of bowling 2 straight, Craig Young. And as a result, goes 2 wide. All he had to do was miss that fielder in point. Gets the wrist through at the end as well to send that with a flourish down to the boundary rope. 50 up in this partnership now between Rizwan and Azam.
This is going to be more runs, but not all the way to the rope this time, as Graham Hume will cut it off at deep third. Azam wants the second. He's very fit, but I think rightly Rizwan sends him back. They are 2 exceptional players, and they've no real required run rate pressure on them.
Yeah, there's a little bit more pace in the wicket as well today, and I think that'll be something Pakistan will be happy about. No extreme pace in the Ireland setup, especially without Josh Little. So it's just coming onto the bat that little bit more easily than we saw in the first 2 games.
Glorious sunshine now envelops the historic Castle Avenue venue. It's another expensive over, double-digit one again from Craig Young. He might have a rest now. 7 have been bowled. 71 for 1. Plenty of power to come as well. We saw the way in which Fakhar Zaman played the other day. Azam Khan 30 off 10, including what many of the Clontarf members are calling the biggest 6 ever hit at this ground. May well still be travelling. The way in which that was pongoed over long on, and certainly Iftikhar Ahmed, I thought his cameo in the first game really gave Pakistan a good chance, despite them not being able to defend a total of about 180, similar to today, actually. Ben White, the leg spinner, into the attack. This really has to be a wicket-taking time now for Ireland. Out of the power play. They've got their wrist spinner on, who's been in good form the last 6 to 12 months. They need a breakthrough. They might need it now.
They do. At the very least, they need a quiet over in terms of runs. They don't have too many to play with. So if Ben White can bowl a spell like we saw from Imad Wasim, then they'll be happy enough. Maybe get wickets at the other end.
It's going to be a fascinating contest between these two, because Rizwan likes the slog sweep, and he took Ben White on ad nauseum, didn't he, repeatedly in the spell. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. White got the better of the second over, but then the third you felt was just one too many.
Yeah, he'd figured things out, hadn't he, by then? 3 overs in T20 in a row is tough. Floats this one up. He sensed the sweep coming. Well read by Ben White.
Yeah, I'm just really enjoying watching the evolution of Ben White as a leg spinner. I think he's learning, he's getting better and better. He is somewhat unorthodox in terms of the way in which he delivers, and I just like his stump-to-stump aggression. And even that delivery there, you might think it's a drag down, but he's very flat through the air, so difficult to get away. All the spinners have indicated they don't want the batter coming at them or hitting down the ground to the short straight boundary, so they're trying to make them play square.
And that drag down, I think, shows that little bit more pace in the wicket today, because on Sunday and Friday as well, that would have held in the wicket somewhat, would have been more hittable.
This is good stuff from White. Singles won't bother Ireland for the moment. They just need a little period here from 7 to 10. Even if they can't get the wicket, like you said, as he drag things back, bring that required run rate somewhat into play.
A big question, who's going to back him up at the other end? Who's going to come on from the LP Hughes end and keep that pressure on to try and force a wicket?
Googly out of the back of the hand, very well bowled. It's a really good over. 6 runs come from it, from Ben White, showing good skills again. I think it has to be spin backing him up in a moment. It might not be, though. 8 have been bowled, 77 for 1.
Well, we spoke about spin.
तोजो क्या हुआ
छोटा हो गया मम्मा छोटा हो गया छोटा हो गया छोटा हो गया
That way, because bowling changes is how you express yourself as a captain. What a slower delivery that was from Curtis Canfer. Hasn't used them enough, I don't think, in this series. And good to see him bringing them out at this point.
Yeah, good skills, and all of a sudden, just outside of that power play, no different to what we've throughout the series, the runs just drying up a touch between overs 7 and 10. Rizwan and Babar Azam, they are world-class players. They're two of the very best Pakistan have ever produced. The one criticism they get sometimes is not for quite scoring quickly enough. Rizwan off to a flyer today, but Ireland just maybe dragging things back a touch. Can they get themselves into this contest, or is it a false dawn, Izzy?
Well, a couple of big deliveries coming up for Camphor, because there would be 2 quiet overs in a row if he can come out without too much damage. For Ireland, for overs 9 and 10, they scored both 13. So those were a couple of big overs for Ireland. If they can keep things quiet up till over 10, then they'll have been ahead of the game in comparison. These are little wins that you need to see as a team.
Yeah, no timing, no rhythm at all. Going back to that comment of Mohammad Rizwan's about if you look at average, you're an average player. It's remarkable to think, though, he is one of only 2 players from the Test Nations with an average over 50 alongside Virat Kohli.
Well, that attitude where he's not worried about his average, I think that speaks to why he is so good, because he's not thinking about the numbers. He's thinking about maybe the game situation, the conditions, what's best for the team. So the very best players, that's how they go about things. What is needed now? That's how you win.
I just love his charisma as well. He's just so talkative. He's so brilliant with the other teams as well. A sparkling player, 4 shy of 50 right now. Not going to get there yet, as Camphor bowls a really effective over. Just the 4 singles come from it. Might have been bowled. 81 for 1.
तोजो क्या हुआ?
हेलो, बस जस्ट सब्सक्राइब कर लेना, फिर ही आगे मैं चलाऊंगा। अब इसके बाद कब से मैं बैठा हूँ, कोई सब्सक्राइब नहीं कर रहा। सब्सक्राइब कर लो, फिर मैं आगे चलाऊंगा, वरना यहीं पे स्टॉप कर दूंगा भैया। 100 लोग हैं और ऑप्शन पे फिर भी
the bottom edge. He was trying to play a strong shot. He didn't mean to hit that for 2, but once it comes off the bottom edge, an easy 2.
And this time, again, Azam will want the second back-to-back 2s. 2 incredibly fit men, and it's going to be a landmark again for this man, Mohammad Rizwan. It'll be 50. It's a 28th T20 international 50 to go alongside that sole 100 that he has in this format. He's one of the leading run scorers in this format. There's almost no one apart from Kohli who averages more than him. He's one of the world's very best.
He's so entertaining to watch, isn't he? And I love the way he's not worried about getting to 50. Didn't change the way he played. Sometimes you can squeeze out a few dots, a few ones when someone's approaching 50. You can keep them quiet for an over or 2 as they're focusing on getting there. But that's not the way this man plays. Doesn't go for the red inker, doesn't look at the landmarks, and gets there more often than most.
Well, there's a decision to be made here. This could easily have been given as a no ball. Tell you why, you have to pitch it on the actual pitch. Now, there is one caveat to that law, that if the ball is too full, if it goes past the stumps, it's just a wide. I think he might have got away with one there. A real wide one from Ben White. Much, much better. When he's there, he's so good, isn't he, White? And just punched down the ground for a single.
Something interesting there is that Rizwan, as soon as he hit that, jogged. He doesn't look comfortable. He came back for that second one and the second ball of the over, and he was limping a little bit as he celebrated his 50. He's just looking a little bit uncomfortable at the non-strikers in there. Something that Pakistan will make sure of is that he stays fit and firing before the World Cup.
Good use of the feet and gets it inside out over extra, but picks out the man who's put it down. George Dockrell, He's dropped one in the series, make it two. Ireland, they cannot afford to drop catches. Again, it's been dropped off the bowling of Ben White, and Babar Azam has a life.
This one's swirling around, dances down, leg spin is tough to catch when it goes high. Spinning, and George Dockrell misjudges that. Not only does he misjudge it and drop the catch, it goes for four.
भाई लोग सब्सक्राइब करो भाई 200 लोग के साथ में मेरे को सब्सक्राइबर ही नहीं बढ़े मेरे क्या फायदा मेरा लाइव आने का इतना मेहनत करने का जस्ट 200 करवा दो फिर तो सब बढ़िया है जस्ट 200 हो जाए फिर मैं ऑन करता हूँ मैच 160 है मेरे को बस 200 करवा दो फिर दो सौ सब्सक्राइबर होने पर मैं शुरू करता हूँ वन 164 हुए 200 करवा दो बस 180 लोग हैं जो मतलब ऑनलाइन हमारे साथ है 200 सब्सक्राइबर करवा जल्दी जल्दी भाई लोग तुरंत करता हूँ मैच पे 166
Team, he got there. Unfortunately, he spilled it. This is a mighty six. Oh dear.
Well, Wilco, I've stayed with you just for one over. This isn't a sensational strike. It's adding insult to injury for Ireland. Dockrell should have held on to Babar Azam. He's maybe the last man in Pakistan you ever want to drop. Camphor goes full. He's pumped down the ground. It's out of the ground.
Yeah, what's the expression? Rubbing salt into the wound. And I think he's just run into a salt mine. Yeah. What have we got? Ball police here in Ireland? What have we got? You know, the Kookaburra ball police one. I mean, it's just.
Well, I think there's probably a few of the neighbours who've been noticing not to sunbathe in the back garden in and around Castle Avenue.
Tell you what, Lenny, if you go around the DIY shops tomorrow, you might see a couple of white cricket balls in the window for sale. Used, not very much.
Well, these two are a class apart, Alan Wilkins, aren't they? You've done a lot of cricket in Pakistan. You've seen them not just in the PSL, but in international tournaments. How good are they?
Well, they're sublime. You know, you've got the contrasting styles. What Rizwan does, he puts you off your stride. He knocks your psyche around because there's always something. He's fidgety, and you know he's messing around with you before you've even delivered the ball. You're thinking about him when you should be thinking of your craft. And you just know that Babar is high class. That's through extra. That should be four.
Well, this game is simply slipping through the fingers of Ireland right now. Dockrell with the catch that went down. The seamers have been persisted with. Craig Young could do nothing about that, and sadly
subscribe भाई लोग 200 लोग देख रहे हैं यार मेरे को बस 200 सब्सक्राइबर चाहिए इतने तो आसानी से हो जाते हैं 170 हुए मींस कि मेरे को 30 चाहिए 30 लोग और सब्सक्राइब कर दो फिर मैं ऑन करता हूँ मैच बस 30 लोग 30 लोग कर दो फिर मैं गेम शुरू करता हूँ
can he find this? It's actually underneath the platform that we're commentating in. Surreal scenes as the 100 has come up here in Clontarf. Pakistan, for me, they're in control of this chase. I think it's defensive options to go with medium pace bowlers like Young and Camphor in these middle overs. We've seen the spinners create chances and prove difficult to score off. I know they're part-time options in Dockrell and Tector. I think they should be getting utilised, and right now they're not.
No, they're not. Short and slapped. No, there's no length that you can defend, really.
भाई लोग मैं ना कब से मतलब कंटिन्यूस मैंने 10 आवर से लगातार मेरा चल रहा है, तो मेरे को थोड़ा बंद करके फिर से शुरू करना होगा। तो आप लोग सब्सक्राइब कर दो तो मैं दोबारा आता हूँ, दोबारा मैं करता हूँ स्टार्ट, तो आपको फिर से देखने को मिलेगा। जस्ट आप सब्सक्राइब कर दो, फिर मैं ये बंद करके दोबारा दूसरा शुरू करता हूँ। सब्सक्राइब करके जाने सब तो तुमको दोबारा देखने को मिलेगा। भाई लोग 200 300 लोग हैं, सब्सक्राइब कर लो बस, फिर मैं करता हूँ फिर से दूसरा शुरू। सब्सक्राइब करके जाओ सब।